Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Vinitaly International Academy, announcing the 24th of our Italian Wine Ambassador courses to be held in London, Austria, and Hong Kong from the 27th to the 29th of July. Are you up for the challenge of this demanding course? Do you want to be the next Italian Wine Ambassador? Learn more and apply now at vinitalyinternational.com.
Hello, everybody. My name is Polly Hammond, and you are listening to Uncorked, the Italian wine podcast series about all things marketing and communication. Join me each week for candid conversations with experts from within and beyond the wine world as we explore what it takes to build a profitable business in today's constantly shifting environment. In this episode, we're joined by the leadership team of the Porto Protocol, Marta Mendonc and Cristina Crava. As one of the oldest organizations combating climate change issues affecting wine, the Porto Protocol has taken a radical approach to collaboration, non-competition, and non-certification. Today, we'll talk about optimism in the face of crisis, sharing solutions for the greater good, and how the Porto Protocol team convinced over a dozen wine producers to share their stories on video. Let's get into it. Good morning, ladies, and welcome. I'm so glad to have both of you here with me today. You have just returned from world travels, sharing the Porto Protocol with some of your collaborators in the U.S. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. We just came back from California, where we had the chance of meeting in person various of the members here at the Porto Protocol, which we've met quite a few times via Zoom, and we felt, since we have a growing community in the US, that it was time for us to actually go there and be able to spread our message in person rather than via just a digital format.
But it was very curious that after all this time being talking to these members through Zoom, that when we meet them in person, it was like we really already meet them previously. So it was it was a very good feeling. So the proximity between us.
Yeah, I do think that we've overcome that barrier. I mean, it's absolutely lovely because I have that all the time with people who I've met, I've worked with, and you feel like when you finally get to give them a hug around the neck that you're like, oh my God, I've known you forever. I've talked to you for years. So it's a really nice barrier to break down. I think that it does present some challenges, which we can come to when we talk about some climate activism as we go on. So I want to ask about what you were doing in the States. But before we do that, can you just, for the benefit of all of our audience, tell us a little bit about the Porto Protocol, the history, the formation, and the work that you're doing right now. Just a little synopsis before we dig into things.
Okay, so we are a knowledge-sharing wine community. We work with members all over the world from the wine community, from soil to sip. That means that in this community of ours, we have companies spread across the wine value chain, not only wine producers, but also design agencies, communication companies,
retailers,
technologies,
consultancy companies, glass companies, packaging, cork. So all different kinds of companies besides the grape and the wine growers.
And what is the criteria? What is the criteria for all of those disparate providers and producers to become a part of the Porto Protocol?
There's no exact criteria because we believe in action rather than perfection. So if we talk about criteria, the criteria is first of all to commit to climate action, and then to share. So we can actually create a network of people that share what they are doing to address climate change, because at the end of the day, what we are doing is catalyzing climate action in the wine world. So for that, we need people to share solutions in a variety of formats.
So I think the only criteria is to be connected to the wine value chain. That's in terms of reach, it's the way we profile our members. So be connected in a way or another way to the wine value chain.
So commit, act, collaborate, and share.
Yeah.
And what are some of the ways that your people are doing that? Like, what does that mean? Because if it's not a certification, how do they commit and share?
Well, they commit, first of all, by signing our letter of principles, and that therefore they become signatories of the Porto Protocol. But they only become members when they share a specific solution through a variety of ways. It may be in a written format. We have a template of solutions that was revised by a member of our global steering committee, Dr. Richard Smart, very well known within the wine industry worldwide. He's a viticulturist from Australia. And Wendy Cameron, the winemaker, also from Australia. We are now working on having an expert panel that will sort of peer review these solutions that are shared with us. This is still not in place, but it will be very soon. And that expert panel has experts literally from all over the world with different types of expertise that will be looking into those solutions that are shared with us, not with the aim of judging them, because we are not, and that is really important about who we are. We are not a place of judgment, as we welcome and meet companies where they are in terms of climate action. And we believe in perfection, not action, in continuous improvement. So that expert panel will make sure that everything that is shared for this community is robust and has enough quality to be useful for someone else on the other side of the world that is reading the solution and finds enough information to understand whether or not that best practice is replicable to its own reality. And so that's
it's a peer review, so we've got peer reviewed solutions is basically people submit to you the work that they're doing. It goes through a peer review process to confirm that it is replicable and that another winery or another solutions provider anywhere in the world can get on board with it. And then at that point, it gets messaged. Like, do the brands share those stories? Do you share those stories? Sort of how does the dissemination of that knowledge work?
We share it. Mostly we share it. Of course, the company also shares it, but we are the sharing knowledge platform, in the sense that we share it not only via our newsletter, our social media, our website, and very important, we do it one-to-one. So by being able to know every single member of ours, we get to know what their challenges are and what their solutions are. So whenever a company, for example, is looking for a particular solution that has to do, for example, with water management, by having this very personal knowledge of what is happening with all our members worldwide, we are able to say, for example, look, this company is implementing this solution, or that company in a completely different part of the world is doing something else, and we are able to bring these people together. So it's not just about sharing the solution in a digital platform. It's also about bringing people together that are looking at like-minded people that are looking for solutions or that have similar challenges, and bringing them together is part of the magic, let's say, of what we do.
Yeah, it's creating a community around these same challenges and sharing their worries and how to overcome the same kind of issues that people have. So it's like the network that is behind this platform of solutions that it really makes the magic that Marta was referring to.
You have been around for a long time. I mean, like, the Porto Protocol has actually been going for several years, if I recall correctly, and it started out with some pretty high-profile events pre-pandemic. How have you seen communication and interest applications change? Because I noticed that we're at peak sustainability conference. I think that I've attended 4 sustainability conferences in the past 4 months. So do you see, what would I say, real action happening at a faster pace? Are you finding interest from different kinds of providers and producers? How have you seen that evolve from the early days with the big events to now where we are surrounded?
Yeah, I believe from those two big conferences we had, and that are in the genesis of the born of Porto Protocol, and they count with Barack Obama and Al Gore in 2018 and 19. They were like the how do you say, the change making in terms of mindset, looking at the climate problem, looking at the climate solutions rather than the climate problem. So that's the first kickoff of talking about climate solutions. I think what we noticed through these years is that people are really feeling in their backyards the effects of climate change, and it was like a waking up call for people that were not really into the issue at that time. So I think, yes, the growth has been good.
One very good example, and we felt it this time in California as well, is with the wildfires that took place in 2020, if I'm not wrong. It was a really awakening of really experiencing and losing and experiencing losing crops and losing harvest due to the wildfires that were a direct consequence of climate change. So yes, there is an awakening. There is a sense of urgency, but acknowledging that the problem exists and experiencing does not come maybe with the same urgency for action that we need. So acknowledging is different from action.
Yeah.
So, and we need systemic change, and we cannot say that is happening at the scale we need still. So yes.
So one of the things that I know about you guys, and I see this on the website and all of your messaging, is that, as Cristina, you've just said, it is about solutions. It's not about discussing the problem. We all know the problem exists. It's about discussing the solutions. And you say within your values that it's with optimism, it's with hope, and there's no room for the despair and the feeling of we can't do this, which I think is something that I notice sets your messaging apart from a lot of climate activism spaces, whether it's in wine or not. Like there's a lot of the very fearful, negative, space of marketing and of communicating this. I just want to ask though, with this hopefulness and with this optimism, are there days that you both just sit at your desk and you just kind of want to put your head in your hands and be like, are they ever going to listen? Are we ever going to get there? Are we actually making change in the world?
Yes,
well, sometimes, but
yeah.
It's not very frequent. We can say that.
I think we're so lucky because every day we speak to people and we bring people together. Not only we speak to them, but we bring different people together that didn't know each other before, that are willing to act and are willing to make a difference. And that is so inspiring, and that really inspires us to do more. And let us give you a very practical example that we just lived it. When we went to California, we had a Porto Protocol event at one of our members, Frog's Leap. And when we were deciding what to do with the event, John Williams, who's the founder, he changed everything that we had thought for the event. And he said, look, just before the event started, let's make this a celebration. Okay, we don't know what's going to happen, so let's make this a celebration about climate action. And so when you have this on a daily basis, when you suddenly have an event that you said, okay, people, we're going to have sort of a climate talk, and we must talk about our climate talks, and then talk about climate change. And then suddenly this amazing man, this inspiring man that has been a pioneer in terms of climate action for quite a long time, he says, look, let's make this event a celebration of what each of those people present in this beautiful setting are doing to address climate action. And when you have this type of inspiration coming from our members, it makes it easier for us to go out there and catalyze climate action, which, as you know, is very bold, but it is something that I've been telling you since the first moment. That's what we aim to achieve. It's catalyzing climate action in the world.
It's funny because in my head, what I think about, So many of these stories to me really resonate as like normal life stories. In parenting, they always say, well, you can get your children to learn to do better more often through positive affirmation than you can through punishment and negativity when they do wrong, right? So it's always the carrot, not the stick. And I think that to me, the analogy is that if we can meet people where they are and celebrate what they are able to do right now, wherever they are, then we can get them feeling positive about it and them doing more and get other people to also say, and I think this is what's really important. Oh, I don't have to be doing the biggest, boldest thing ever. I don't have to be, 75% along the journey. I can be a little teeny baby steps, just getting started and trying to learn. Do you feel like that idea of we'll meet you where you're at, we're not judgmental, has your feedback been that that's a really positive approach to take in growing solutions providers and adopters?
For sure.
Yeah, no doubts. Because people feel comfortable of talking of what they're doing. Even small actions count. Like you're saying, it doesn't have to have a super mega plan in terms of climate action, because this is about continuous action, not just establishing big goals. So every action counts, and that's a way of inspiring people to do more the next day, and to talk with other people that also can start doing small things and feel that they are important and they do a difference in our world. So, yes.
Let me just say a couple of things. First, it's one very important message from our CEO and mentor, Adrian Bridge, is that we do not need to reinvent the wheel. That's one of the things that makes so much sense about Porto Protocol. The reason why we share solutions is because it does make sense when it comes to climate change for companies to compete. It makes much more sense that we share what we are doing, because that way we can accelerate change. And that's why we share solutions. And that's why it makes sense to bring like-minded people together.
I have a question about this. I hear from my clients a lot. They're like, oh, we're doing something, but we've been really afraid to talk about it for fear that someone's going to come along and they're going to poke holes in it and they're going to say that we're not doing enough. And we've had a couple instances lately where I've actually seen that happen in public, where someone has finally gone out with something that they're doing that for them is a fabulous first step in publicly declaring these are the actions that we're taking. And then someone who's doing nothing comes in and is like, oh, is that enough? Why are you doing that? How do you know this? Like greenwashing, just like that, that human need to nitpick. I discovered that this is actually part of something called green hushing. So green hushing is when we don't share with the world what we're doing, often because we are afraid of judgment or dissent. What do you say to those brands who are sitting there listening to this and they are doing great things, but they're so afraid to communicate it because someone in the social media world or whatever is going to slam them because it's not perfect or it's not enough?
First, we believe that you should communicate only when you've done it. Yeah. And if you've achieved the results. And once you've done it, once you're not communicating or spreading out the word of something that you're going to do, then why not communicate it? Why not inspire by example? It can be absolutely daunting to think that you have to have a perfect plan to address this daunting challenge, because it's a daunting challenge. So by communicating it, maybe there are companies out there, and there are amazing companies that are doing the whole thing. That yes, they might say that's just a little thing, but for others, that might be an inspiring step to start. Yeah. And imagine, we sometimes give the example who comes from an inspiring member of ours, Mimi Castillo. Imagine that every wine producer worldwide with a vineyard would have one cover crop. Imagine if all the probably millions of wine producers had one cover crop in their vineyard. The impact that only this small action would have, if it would really have the scale of the wine industry as a whole. I mean, this small action multiplied by the thousands would have an impact. And that's the importance of small actions.
Yeah, that's why we support the low-hanging fruit of action. And I think the peer review process that we explained before, it also gives it can provide some safe place for people to share their solutions, because it has been already seen by some experts that really find it meaningful for climate action. So it also can help people to feel more comfortable on their messaging parts.
So do you have a directory where, like, if I wanted to go in as, say, a consumer or a part of the wine system, and I wanted to be like, what's that brand doing?
We don't exactly have a directory. We have a website where you have filters to search for solutions by area and by environmental benefits. Also, it is important to understand that we don't speak as much with consumers. We are sort of, being this business and marketing podcast, we are a B2B organization. So we still have not spread our message to consumers, though we do say very much to our members that they should educate their consumers and their whole value chain.
Do you feel like that this is something that's top down or bottom up? I mean, like, what's going to drive it? Is it the consumers? Is it our Gen Zers saying, you know what, if you're not doing something, I'm not going to buy from you? Or is it our leaders, who many of us are Gen Xers like me, who are like, I know that we have to do this? Or do we just meet in the middle?
I think both. No,
yeah,
because we are kind of crop that thinks in terms of future generations. Because one vineyard planted today will be always only giving the fruit, the grapes, in 5 years, and it will be here for 100 years. So we want to do good. We want to behave the best way we can in terms of protecting and be stewards of the land. So it really comes from the proper, the owners of the land and the wine growers, the need to act and to start these changes. In the other end, I think, yes, the consumers are drivers, no doubt.
Not just the consumers. First, as wine producers, as Cristina said, we are farmers, and we are the first ones being affected by climate change. It's not even before consumers, though consumers might be producers as well, and we are all consumers at the end of the day. We are being affected. So acting on it is a business decision. It's not even an environmental one. It makes business sense to act on climate change and to mitigate and adapt to it, because, I mean, companies are losing their crops of a whole year. This makes your business unsustainable, not just from an environmental and social standpoint, but from a financial one. So it makes sense not only to safeguard the land for future generations, as many are family. I mean, thinking of our own example as an organization, we are owned by a company that has been around for more than 300 years. Yeah. So it's natural that they think that they want to safeguard their land for the next 300 years to come. So it's top bottom and bottom up, because it's producers that are being challenged by climate change. It's retailers that have key role to play, as they are sort of in between consumers and producers alike. They're in a position to influence and to say to producers, look, we want your product as long as it's safeguarding its land and safeguarding its people. And consumers, they must say that they will only buy that product if it is compliant with certain rules, certain ways of producing. But also they have to say it, but they have to make sure that when they get to the shelf and then when they get to the supermarket, they act on what they said as well, and that they walk their talk. And that's really important.
So we were doing, my agency was doing quite a bit of research on specifically greenwashing for a presentation. And one of the things that I discovered is that I could have sat here with, 10 grand in 4 hours and gotten certification after certification after certification for my business or my website. It was literally just a cash grab. And this is not from within the wine world. This is, across sort of broad market certifications. You have opted not to introduce any kind of certification, as it were, and you don't charge fees. I think that that's a really interesting approach to how you are providing support. What were some of the deciding factors that influenced that?
Again, it comes from a business decision. If you look for solutions that have already been implemented out there, and if you look for people that have experimented and have gone through the challenges and lessons learned of a specific solution, as a company, you're actually saving money, because again, you are shortening the process of implementing a certain solution. Okay, so this is not just out of philanthropy. I'm missing the word.
Philanthropy.
It actually makes business sense for companies to cooperate when it comes to climate action. We call it nowadays co-opetition.
Yeah.
So you can compete when it comes to your products, but you should collaborate definitely when it comes to such a daunting challenge, the biggest one of our species, not just of our planet. So that is the reason why we need more and more solutions, so we can create change at scale, and the scale we need to save not just our industry, but our species. Okay, so that's the reason why we took, not we, or even our mother organization took when creating Porto Protocol, because it makes sense to share what we are doing to address this challenge.
Okay, so now we're going to come to the heart of why I wanted to talk with you today. You recently created a documentary.
We did.
Yeah.
You went out, you have like a full length, is it hour-long documentary where which you are sharing, these stories. How did that come to be? Because I have to tell you, I cannot get clients to embrace video to save my soul. I go out to them and I'm like, video, this is how it works. These are the advantages, blah, 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 blah. And they look at it and they're like, no, this is very intimidating. I'm not going to do it. You guys went out and did an hour-long documentary.
We did. And
what was that process like?
So first of all, let us tell you that, as we mentioned at the beginning, we asked our members to share what they are doing in writing. And my God, is that a huge challenge, because we need detail and we need data. So, and that's a huge challenge. And that's how, just before we speak about the documentary, our climate talks came to life, because it was so difficult to have them share in writing that we thought, okay, let's create a space where we bring members from all over the world, all different sizes, all different profiles, come together and speak about, share what they are doing to address a specific topic that has to do with wine and climate change. And our climate talks have been a fundamental tool for Porto Protocol to come to life, because that's all it is, a space where at least 3 companies come and share what they are doing in regards to, as I said, a specific topic that has to do with wine and climate action. So, in fact, talking is so much easier than writing, okay? So this was the next level. And now from the video, we were challenged by the Green Line Future to come up with a video for their conference. And we thought, okay, let's take this opportunity, because we are going to be at the conference anyway. So let's make this into a tool about what we do, about our community, about what our members are doing. So it was really being crazy as we are and say, let's just do it. I mean,
being bold.
Yeah, being bold and taking the opportunity. And
we had like 1 month to create everything, more or less, 1 month and a half. And we challenge even less. And we challenge some of our members to do a short video, a very homemade video. So make it simple for them. And we really had a really splendid response from their side. And it was really even a surprise for us of the final product that we were able to put together, because the messaging was so much
inspiring and educational.
And even education that we, in fact, of what we thought before sending the challenge. So it was really a good piece that I think we could manage to put together.
So, Polly, we were bold, but we were humble in the sense that we wanted to do it no matter what. But we knew we had to be humble in the sense that this was not going to be kiss the ground. This was going to be homemade, and we had to be very straightforward about it. This is not going to be, maybe we can, no words still, but we had to keep those two things in mind, bold but humble at the same time in regards to...
I mean, it falls in lines with the values, right? That it doesn't have to be about perfection. It's just about progress. It's just about getting the message out there. So whether it was an intentional, we are living our values or not, it was very representative, right, of the values that your team brings to it. So how many respondents did you have in that video? How many brands and businesses and people are represented?
First of all, we had to limit it. We didn't invite everyone. Yeah. We did personalized invitations because we had 50 miles.
How many members do you have? How many members total do you have?
More than 200.
Okay.
But we only invited 15 companies in the end.
Because we tried to get representatives from some of the wine regions that we are present, because we are present in more than 20 countries and 5 continents now. So we had to choose not to be balanced in terms of representation and be like a mirror of our community as well. So we invited, as Marta said, around 12 to 15 companies. Most of them reply. We didn't were able to use all the videos in this documentary because the time constraints. But it was really a good, I think, almost 100% of replies when we invite those kind of those 15 companies to be part of it.
And it was important, as Cristina said, that it represented our community, not just in terms of regions, but for example, in terms of profiles. One of the companies produces 400 cases, another is a huge company. So this was really important that we have all sorts of companies and also all sorts of solutions. So from a hemp winery, a hemp seller from Chateau Maris in France, to regenerative viticulture in the US, to circular approach in Portugal, we really had to make sure that in this 55 minutes, we were really able to showcase a sample of what our community is doing.
Were there any that stood out that you could share with us? Just, someone's response that you were like, wow, we never expected that. And this is amazing. And this represents exactly what we're trying to convey.
Well, it's not fair that we do that, but
yeah, because all of them were really, really, really good. We had an inspiring one in terms of the speech and even the consequences. And I think we both agree on that Carlo Mondavi was really inspiring in his speech and showing and showcasing what kind of actions he's taking in place. But it's not fair, as Marta is telling, because Tom Krogan was really great.
Yes, Patricia from talking about circular economy, Robin Lale, our international ambassador, she's inspiring as well. So, I mean,
Shenbla and Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole.
Nicole is really also inspiring using bees.
Honestly, it's not fair. We've already said too many names because it's so. That's the amazing thing. That was the surprising thing about the documentary. The passion that we believe that we pass on to what we do was really there in all of our members. So, and if we are able to inspire action, each of these members is able to inspire action in another vintner or another wine company, regardless of whether they are in the wine value chain. I mean, this is what we want.
Yeah, and it was really good to have our members talking on their own words about what is Porto Protocol, how Porto Protocol is impacting their action in a daily basis, and even trying to bring all other producers around the world to be part of this community. So it was so much best than being ourselves doing this invitation that it's like a peer-to-peer conversation. That's the idea.
Do you know something makes me think of? So we build a lot of winery websites, and we have standard structures, right? You got about us, which in wine always breaks down into our team, our vineyards, our state, our wine. And there's a part of me that, from hearing what you're saying and all of these people who have stories to tell, that wouldn't it be nice if there was a default new tab or new page on everyone's website that's like our climate actions right there. And just when I got presented with a potential site build, everyone who came in was like, here's the about us, here's our team, here's our vineyard, here's our climate action, and give them a chance to communicate wherever they are or whatever they're doing right now. And hopefully with some joy and positivity. That's just, that's me thinking about the work that I do every day and how that would fit in. So the documentary, going back to the documentary, is it available online? What have you done with it since the conference?
Well, we've basically spread it again via our social media. Also, through our visits to the US, we've also had a PR agency sort of spreading it out, and it's also available on our YouTube website. So if you go to Porto Protocol at YouTube, you'll find our documentary there.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna keep doing them? So again, like I said, I'm fascinated by the documentary side of it because I find it so difficult to get wine companies using video. But what you've just said is all these people did an amazing job in a very low, production quality. It didn't have to be cinematic quality. They all did a really great job conveying their stories and what they're doing. Is this an undertaking that you're going to approach again?
Yes,
we are already.
We are already working on a California episode.
Following our visit, we already challenged some of our members to do an episode by the region, in terms of the region, and even in Portugal.
Yes.
We are working with 5 regions in Portugal, doing a sustainable program, and we challenge them as well to share in video the solutions they already have in place.
And we realized that this is a very easy way. It's a very easy way for people to get acquainted with these solutions in a much more interactive fashion. So the written format is still absolutely key to us. And now the next videos that we have will definitely always have the writing format along with the video. But this makes it easier for people to watch and for people to see what these companies are doing. And not always bearing in mind that we are a global wine community. We will keep on and spread across the wine value chain. We'll definitely have more episodes showcasing some of our members that are doing amazing work also. For example, we have a few importers and retailers that are doing amazing job. For example, in terms of reusable bottle schemes, sustainable wine solutions, Zoe for Good in France. And so we want to show these, and they deserve to be shown so they can be replicated. Yeah. So for sure, we'll be doing new episodes of this documentary.
Is this going to take the place of your climate talks, or are you continuing to do those as well?
No, it's different because in our climate talks, it's a place for interaction, because not only the interactions happens with the guests we invite, but also people can register in the
Zoom
webinars.
The webinar, and can place questions through the Q&A or doing chat among them. So it's a different approach. It serves different
purposes
as well.
Communication channels at the end of the day. different audiences require different communication channels. And these are all tools to share, to provide solutions for wine and climate change in completely different ways, and therefore appealing to different people.
So for someone like the Porto Protocol, where you've got a B2B, not-for-profit message, how are you able to use things like social media in order to build profile? And the reason I ask is that you've got someone like LVMH who put on the World Living Soils Forum, and they have really heavily leaned into Instagram as a communicator. I really think for them, a lot of it comes across to me, and I could be wrong, as B2C. Like they're trying to get the consumer market to understand why their efforts are so important. Is this even something that you see as growth for B2B and nonprofits, for climate change activism? How does that work?
Of course, they are absolutely key channels to work with. First of all, they are free channels to work with, and they're the best way to get to a wider audience. So one thing is the work that we do on a daily basis, which is more personal, so to speak, where we are able to speak to our members and, of course, our growing community. But through our social media channels, regarding of whether it is Instagram or LinkedIn, we are able to spread our message to a much wider audience, including consumers. So when we speak to wine lovers, for example, they are able to know through social media that, for example, what are the elements that contribute the most to the carbon footprint of wine, of how much water a liter of wine requires to be produced. So this information, though we are a B2B organization, it's easy and important to share via social media, so we are able to spread out the message and convey this message to the ones that are actually consuming and drinking the wine, and therefore be able to choose much more mindfully when they are buying their next wine bottle.
Yeah, creating awareness and learnings as well. So it's part of our daily job.
So yes, social media is absolutely key for us, but also to communicate again what our members are doing. So there's so much potential to the role of social media.
Education and awareness is really where it is. So it's a B2C education and awareness, as well as, of course, your B2B relationship building. What's next in terms of growth? I mean, one of the things that I notice about climate change is that, not to despair, but it does feel like every day we are faced with more news, more problems, more problems that we need to solve. So how do you see this growing over time? How do you see the Porto Protocol growing over time?
The next big step for us is really the expert panel, as we told you about, because that will leverage what we do as an organization. That is absolutely key for us. That will leverage what we do, and in terms of credibility, it will be indeed a step forward.
Growing the community as well. So in different places, we have already some regional representatives that really do like a local spreading word of the Porto Protocol work, and trying to bring more people on board to grow the community, grow the solutions, and grow the voice of the Porto Protocol.
So those are ambassadors? Are those like brand ambassadors, the equivalent of brand ambassadors for the Porto Protocol?
They act
sometimes like ambassadors, but not. We have a big ambassador that is Robin Lale in the US. And the regional representatives do like a more operation,
and they help us grow. They help us grow in that particular region. Because one thing that is absolutely key, future-wise, is that we grow more meaningfully in certain wine regions across the world. We are very strong in the US, for example. We are growing steadily in France and Italy, but we need, again, to be able to impact change at scale, we need to grow accordingly. And so these regional representatives are actually absolutely key to our future. so we can grow at scale and be able to capitalize action at scale. Another
in the areas that you haven't yet seen growth, is that because they're not aware of the Porto Protocol, or is that because they're slower to actually adopt change?
There are two obstacles, we would say, two challenges. One is a language obstacle, in the sense that we are a language-speaking organization.
An English speaking organization, So our official language is English, and we have some countries that are not use as much English as that.
Namely France and Italy, for example, and Spain. So the wine world is, we have a language obstacle. And the other obstacle is sometimes the sharing spirit that we promote. So sharing and understanding this concept of competition, of collaborating when it comes to climate action and competing when it comes to your products does not come easily. And so that's a second obstacle that we sometimes share. We're not asking for people to share their business strategy. We're asking them to share, for example, how they're saving water and not how they make their product within the winery. And that's sometimes not easy to come across.
Even timetable. Sometimes it's difficult. We have meetings at night sometimes to get
New Zealand
or something, but also sometimes it's an obstacle. Not good.
So that notion of transparency that you're talking about is very interesting to us, because one of the challenges that we've seen is that it's really, really hard to get the wine world to share what I would describe as case studies, to share the business and the strategy and the growth information. This is not on a climate side of things that can help all of us as an industry make better decisions, learn from one another's mistakes. I think that leads me to the question of, is there a space with the Porto Protocol for people to not just share their successes, but to talk about what they've tried, what didn't work, maybe why they think it didn't work? Maybe someone else can jump in and say how they might have tried it differently, just for us to learn to be more open about, I don't want to describe it as the failures in a bad way, but, really just the things that didn't work out the way we expected them to, or wasn't worth it, or we thought seemed like a great idea at the time, and then we got into it and we realized, no, actually, this is never going to be a way forward for climate activism.
Yeah, of course. I think it's already happening in a more individual and not so visible way for the community. So it's happening between two members that are really sharing this kind of challenges. And also, we try to, in our solution template, we have an item that we call achievements and next steps.
And
lessons learned. In the part of the lessons learned, it's a space for you to explore these kind of things that you were describing. So what went wrong, what went right, why some adaptation is needed. So the idea is that we have a space, but of course it should be important as well to create a more interactive forum to discuss those.
But all of that. So like if I'm a new signatory, I come in and I'm like, oh, I've got this idea to do this thing. And you're like, oh, actually, you know what? We can hook you up with someone else. They've tried it. They went down this path. This is what they found. So that's where sort of all of this information sitting in your big brains helps. And it might not be documented. It might not be things that we want to document necessarily in a public space, because the internet lasts forever. So with that in mind, just give me the lowdown. I am a winery listening, or a service provider, or anyone within our supply chain, and I've just discovered that the Porto Protocol exists. What are my next steps?
You go to our website to become a member. You download our letter of principles. You send it to us to info@portoprotocol.com. We'll get back to you to schedule a conversation where you'll do lots of questions. Sounds like an interrogation sometimes, because that's the way we get to know you, to get to know your practices, your challenges, your lessons learned, your most successful and solutions. That's how we get to know you, and that's how we are able to help you and meet you where you are.
Yes.
And then we will also tell you about us. And as this conversation goes along, we'll try to look within these brains of ours, as well as our platforms of climate talks and solutions, what has been shared with us that can help you in your path. And so this is
like a date. You have to have a first date.
Yeah.
In a way, we can say that.
Yeah.
We're the matchmakers.
Exactly. You're saying something that's something that we've been saying for 2 years. Somehow we are matchmakers. Another thing that we are, before finishing the answer, is and actually that's something that I want to say before, we have the eagle's eye view. We have the systemic approach. So as you probably know, working with businesses, most businesses do not have a systemic approach to problems. So we try to have it. We build the puzzle. As we listen and talk to people all over the world, we usually say that we travel every single day without leaving our chair. And by getting to know people from all over the world, we are able to build a puzzle of what can be done in terms of climate action. So we have the systemic approach that we believe is needed to address this issue. And by bringing these people together, we are sort of putting the puzzle together and helping people come together. Sorry, this was something that I had forgotten to say that I found is really important.
And even bridging sometimes the academia and some partners with the members itself.
With the producers.
Yeah, with the producers.
Oh, that's interesting. So let me ask a question about that. And it's okay that we're going off on a tangent. So when you say bridging the academia and producers, what my brain hears is taking things that are going on in very in scholarship spaces, in very academic language, and actually translating that into real world language, possible application, and understanding. So it's not just like a one-for-one connection. It's actually like literally running it through a filter of what does this really sound like and mean to our people, and conveying it in a way that they can understand. Is that correct?
Yes. Also, yeah.
It's not our main role, but it's something that we are developing step by step.
Yes. We are trying to simplify the messaging so it be understandable for everyone, and also try to sometimes match some investigation that is being done by research. That is being done by academia that needs some real data in place, and we're trying to connect the producer with the academia for the pilots to go good. And
that's
even for
smart.
The producer, and even for the producer to have an advantage in being trying this new technology or new
breakthroughs, innovation. Yeah.
What else?
Oh, that is super interesting.
Yeah, we usually help some of the universities and researchers.
And even students.
And students. Sometimes we are contacted by students that need to run up a questionnaire about a specific issue. So we try to identify around the world what kind of members we have that can help getting this information up, and then ask through a very direct and personal email, please help this student or help this project on by replying to this questionnaire or by sending this message. We also do that with some journalists that are about to write an article on a specific topic, and help us and ask for our help to identify who are the best people to talk. And we connect them directly or indirectly. It depends on the case itself and what kind of information people need.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's
So go.
That's the back office.
The back office that it's not visible for everyone. So, but the network and the connections, they are really, really important in the daily
And
work
actually,
that we do.
when you were talking about lessons learned, sometimes Porto Protocol comes to life without us even knowing it. For example, we visited a member of ours in the US, and she was just telling us how she, after a climate talk of ours, she implemented one of the solutions that were shared, but it was not ideal to her. And so she, by trial and error, she just went on trying it till it really worked for her. So in our next video on California, she will be sharing that. But we didn't know this. So this community comes to life. Not always are we aware of it, but it really comes to life.
Yeah, that's the difficulty of measuring the impact that we have right now, and that's one of the things that we would like to improve in the future as well.
Yes, that's a milestone for the future as well, being able to measure our impact and, of course, to increase it.
Okay, so now the difficult question. You say you've just come back from the States. How do you yourself balance the need to travel, get out in the world, be a part of that community that you're building with everything that we know about the issues of air travel in climate change in the wine world?
It has to be such a mindful decision, Polly. Actually, there was another member. Well, all these examples come from the US because they're very fresh. But there was a member of ours that was telling that today they don't have, and it was Scotland, they don't have a travel budget, but a carbon budget for traveling. And it's a concept, not that we have it, but it has to be so mindful. The reason why we decided to go to the US this year is because we really felt the need of reinforcing this community that already existed in the US. So it made perfect sense for us. So it was not so much about growing the community, of course, that comes with the job, so to speak, but it was about reinforcing the one we have, make it stronger. And that was important because from this comes growth as well, natural growth, and more sharing and more meaningfulness to what we do. So it made business sense, and it made environmental sense to go out there and spread the message and convey the message even further.
Because the benefits are going to outweigh the cost.
Yes. We believe in it. So it's such a mindful decision to go traveling, to go on a plane. It's in no way at random that we do it, because we are aware that we are the first ones that have to walk our talk. Yeah. And so it comes from a very conscious space to decide to go out there and travel.
And
so
we need to plant some trees. Yeah. Also,
and you need to plant some trees. You got to make up for it. Going back to next steps, you've signed the letter of principles. You have to actually commit to the change, and then you become a member.
You only become a member when you share a solution via a variety of formats. As we said, we have our written formats, and you can find the solutions shared in our website, or it can be an article, for example. It can be a climate talk that we invite you to. Bear in mind that because our climate talks are so important, being invited to a climate talk is because we did so much back office work before someone is actually invited to. It sounds simple. It's an hour live and you're there with other people. But even the matchmaking process of bringing those specific people together, it's not at random. So it's just not, oh yeah, great, I'm being invited to climate talk. If we invited you to a climate talk, is for sure because we really...
You earned it.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. So you only become a member of the Porto Protocol once you share a solution.
So showing that.
So that's your payment.
Yeah,
that's your payment.
Yeah, that's walking your talk. So it's avoiding the greenwashing of I'm a member of the Porto Protocol. No, you only are a member of the Porto Protocol if you are really doing something already.
And you are sharing it.
And we are, of course, sharing it.
Awesome. thank you so much. I'm really grateful to you for coming in and talking with me today about this, because I do feel like it can be quite bewildering. There's so many different options depending upon if you want something that's wine specific, alcohol specific, if you geographically specific, if you want certifications, if you want payment, well, like whatever, it may be. That I know myself, when I was doing the research for the presentation, I was completely overwhelmed by trying to understand what the differences were in not only enrollment in or membership in, but also expectations of and kind of ongoing impact of the multiple organizations that are out there. So I am hugely grateful to you ladies for giving me your time today and helping me really get an idea of what my options are.
We are grateful to you, Polly, for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, of course, you can always come to us through email or through social media, and we are pleased to get back to you again.
And that's the Porto Protocol on all channels?
Yes, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on email, on website.
Yeah,
on everywhere, on smoke signals.
And on all podcasts. You can find our climate talks, for example, on all podcast media as well.
Yeah.
High five to the podcasters in this world.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's a wrap. Thank you for listening, and a great big thank you to Marta and Cristina for joining me today. The Italian Wine Podcast is among the leading wine podcasts in the world, and the only one with daily episodes. Tune in each day and discover all our different shows. Be sure to join us next Sunday for another look at the world of wine marketing.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Vinitaly Academy, home of the gold standard of Italian wine education. Do you want to be the next ambassador? Apply online at vinitalyinternational.com for courses in London, Austria, and Hong Kong, the 27th to the 29th of July. Remember to subscribe and like Italian Wine Podcast, and catch us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and wherever you get your pods. You can also find our entire back catalog of episodes at italianwinepodcast.com.
Hi guys, I'm Joy Livingston and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to italianwinepodcast.com.